deep dive. Today we're diving into just one source, but it's a profound one. It offers a really unique perspective on finding, well, stability. Unwavering stability in a world that feels like it's constantly shifting.
Yeah.
Our mission today is really to unpack this powerful idea it presents about navigating life without being constantly knocked off balance by disappointment. So the source we're looking at, it's a reflective text dated July 3rd, and it kicks off with this really compelling line from Psalm 16.8. It says, "I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved." Now, okay, the language is spiritual, rooted in, ancient wisdom, but the core insight about inner stability that feels surprisingly universal. What really grabs me is this promise of being genuinely unmoved.
It really is striking, isn't it? And what's fascinating is how the text then connects that unshakable state, that unmoved feeling, to something quite radical. It talks about a complete burial of your own will, like aligning it totally with a higher purpose. It proposes that if you can do that, you can actually know no disappointment.
No disappointment. That sounds huge.
It is. And it's not about just, ignoring bad things or feeling numb. It's presented as a radical shift in perspective. By aligning your will like that, you start to see every single event, even the really difficult ones, not as just bad luck or random misfortune, but as part of a purposeful design. The text calls it divine appointment or supervision. The implication is pretty profound. You get this assurance, all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose.
Okay, so if this idea of no disappointment comes from that deep alignment, that trust in a bigger purpose, how does that actually change how we react, when things inevitably don't go the way we planned or hoped? The source mentions reaching something called a graduating condition of heart. I'm genuinely trying to get my head around that. What does that actually look like? Day to day, especially when you're facing real hardship.
Right. It's described as a state of, let's say, profound emotional and spiritual maturity. Think about it like this. Say you're facing a major setback, maybe at work, maybe personally. The typical reaction might be frustration, maybe anger, despair.
Sure, yeah, that sounds familiar.
But someone who has reached this graduating condition of heart, the text says the evidence is that they can take the oppositions, and that means challenges from outside, worldly pressures, even our own internal struggles, what the source calls the great adversary. They can take these things patiently, uncomplainingly, without resentment or, murmuring. And here's the really challenging part, maybe even joyfully.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Joyfully. That's the bit that really stands out.
It is. The key isn't just gritting your teeth and enduring. It's framed as a kind of joyful acceptance. Seeing these struggles, these oppositions, as, and this is a direct quote, a part of the disciplinary experience meted out to us by our all-wise and all-loving Lord. It's a complete reframing of hardship, seeing it almost like a tailored training program designed to build your resilience.
A disciplinary experience, but meted out by something all-wise and all-loving. That does change the flavor entirely, doesn't it? It's not punishment. It's discipline in the sense of training.
Exactly. It transforms struggle from something purely negative into something potentially constructive.
But that idea, accepting adversity joyfully as part of this training, that's incredibly challenging for most people to even consider, surely. Especially in the face of genuine pain or loss. How do you even start to cultivate that?
That's a really important point. It's crucial to understand this isn't about faking happiness or suppressing real grief or pain. That wouldn't be healthy or realistic. It's more about a foundational trust, a deep-seated belief that there is a larger, purposeful design at play, even when it's completely hidden from your view, when you can't understand it at all.
Okay, so it's trust-based.
Yes. Think of it like maybe a really intense fitness program.
Yep.
The muscle soreness, the difficulty, it's not pleasant in the moment.
Right. Definitely not.
But you accept it, maybe even embrace it on some level, because you trust the process. You trust it's building strength for a bigger, beneficial outcome. This perspective asks you to apply a similar kind of trust to life's difficulties. It's an active choice, really, to try and align your perception with that underlying purposeful design. And that allows a very different kind of response to start emerging.
Okay, so it's less about forcing yourself to feel happy when you're not, and more about actively choosing to trust. Trusting that even the hard stuff has a purpose, and that changes how you face it. Almost like embracing a difficult workout because you know it makes you stronger.
Precisely. It's about transforming the response from one of, say, bitterness or dread into one focused on growth or learning, even within the pain.
Right. So bringing all these powerful ideas together then, What this deep dive seems to reveal is that maybe true stability, that unmoved state, and freedom from constant disappointment. Maybe it doesn't come from trying to control everything outside us. Maybe it stems from this really profound internal shift, a shift in how we interpret what happens to us, seeing every challenge not just as an obstacle, but as potentially part of this larger purposeful design.
And that naturally leads to a really important question for you, listening right now, to consider. How might viewing your own daily challenges, the external pressures, the unexpected setbacks, maybe even those internal battles with doubt or fear, how might viewing those not as random bits of bad luck, not as obstacles just to be fought against, but as perhaps part of a disciplinary experience, as the text puts it, coming from an all-wise and all-loving source? How might that perspective begin to reshape your understanding and maybe, ultimately, your deepest response to life itself?